Hello, good evening. Last evening of September 2020. Amazing. Where did September arise and leave so quickly? Hi, Monty. Thanks for being here. So it's almost 7:30. I'll just wait another moment till we start right at 7:30 to see if anyone else is tuning in. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for being here. So I have a meeting tomorrow to plan to one of our TNI staff and volunteers is training me how to take a Zoom meeting and put it up on YouTube, and how to make it safe for people to be able to sign in and all that kind of thing. So maybe by next week we'll be over on Zoom instead of live streaming here. I really hope so, because I'd love to see your faces and hear your comments and questions and reflections. We'll feel really good as we enter in what is being called the second wave of COVID, and more isolation. So it will feel really good to be able to see you. Hi, Terry. Welcome. So I think on the True North Insight website, on the page that lists all the, hi, Patty, on the page that lists all the weekly talks that we're all doing, there will be a link where you can sign up to receive get the link emailed to you. So there will be like just a really simple pop-up form on that page, and you'll be able to put in your email to ask to receive the weekly Zoom link for these meditations. And of course, you don't have to show up weekly, but you just sign up once, which is great. So just sign up once, and then you'll receive each week. I'll send a reminder, maybe Tuesday, probably Tuesday or Wednesday morning. And that way you can opt in if you want to. And it's still like this, if you can just come for a little while, that's fine. And you need to leave, of course, no problem. So don't feel like, because it's Zoom, I got to be there for the whole time. Oh, hello, good to see you. Welcome back. So that is in the works for hopefully next week, to transition the Wednesday night meditation to Zoom. May it be so. So was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. Thinking of different, I kind of ponder all week what I'm going to talk about on Wednesday. And a couple things were coming to mind. And then yesterday, it's really kind of odd. There were these, just on the living room floor, there was a fortune cookie fortune. I'm like, where'd that come from? And I asked the other people at the house, hi, Katie, if they had saved it. Is this somebody's special fortune? Nobody fessed up to it. And I was like, that was weird. But obviously it's been in somebody's pocket and fallen out. I don't believe it was like a divine intervention. But anyways, the little picture that I posted on Facebook is these actual little fortune that says, don't lose track of your feelings. was like, oh, that's an interesting fortune. Don't lose track of your feelings. So, of course, that inspired me reflecting a little bit more on feelings. And so, this is the topic tonight. In particular, difficult emotions. So it's a little, feelings is a tricky word in these teachings because it's often used to refer to something else that's called Vedana. You don't need to worry about that or know what that means, but sometimes a particular thing that I've done other talks on in this on this YouTube channel is called Vedana, which means feeling tone, and it means something very specific of just it's even before anything becomes an emotion. It's just the contact at the sense doors is either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So, and sometimes that gets called feelings, but it's not very accurate. I'm not a fan. So, feelings, what I'm, as it is referring to, I think, in this fortune, and what I'm talking about tonight is referring to emotions. In particular, difficult emotions. Emotions that aren't difficult, we don't really need to have a Dharma talk about or really practice a lot. Although, yes, there is lots to learn by also paying attention to that. But it's the painful, really strong emotions that we need to really attend to. I was reading an article by Sharon Salzberg in Tricycle magazine, and in that article she refers to another article that was in the New York Times. In the New York Times article, they're referring to a study that was done in this little pilot program of mindfulness training in schools. With did they say what grade? I think it's elementary grade kids. And I've done a little bit of that. But this was kind of they went in twice a week to the same group of kids for 5 weeks. So they had like 10 sessions twice a week, really nice. Short sessions, but fruitful. So the focus was on how to have gentle breaths and still bodies. The students trained their attention by focusing on the breath and noting the emotions that arose. Just such a great training for all of us, and wonderful that kids are learning this younger. So then the coach asked them to cultivate compassion by the person coaching them in mindfulness by taking a moment before lashing out at someone on the playing field, on the playground. And one boy told his class in this New York Times article, I was losing at baseball and I was about to throw a bat, he said, and the mindfulness really helped. And then the reporter asked another boy participating in the program to describe mindfulness. One of the best definitions of mindfulness going. This is so good. So here's a description of mindfulness from the mouths of babes. It's not hitting someone in the mouth, he said. Oh, that cracks me up. Great definition of mindfulness. Have you ever heard that on a meditation retreat or from a monk? What's mindfulness? Not hitting someone in the mouth. But it's so good. It's so true. it's so real. Not that we're going around punching people in the mouth, obviously, but it's talking about very difficult emotions, strong emotions, and how as kids it hasn't been socialized. They're more impulsive and reactive, and they would just like do that if there really some strong emotion comes up. And so it really speaks to how sometimes we have that kind of really strong impulse to really lash out or to lash inward at ourselves and beat ourselves up about all of the things. Um, Emotions can be that strong. And of course, when I'm talking about emotions, not really separated from what we would call a mind state, mind states. In fact, one of my favorite definitions of emotions, I'm always like, what is an emotion actually? Like we have these different words for it, anger, grief, sadness, joy, etc., fear. We could go on a long, long list of emotions. But really, what is an emotion besides like just a thing we call emotions? And what made sense when I heard it, I was like, whoa, wow, that makes so much sense to me. It's really very strong mind states, thoughts, usually looping and deepening and a groove of thoughts correlated with very strong physical sensations. And we don't usually notice that part because we're busy in the story about it, but there's huge sensations happening in the body. Like in this kid, I wanted to throw the bat because I wasn't doing well at baseball, or another one, I really wanted to hit somebody. Um, it's actually physical, very strong sensations. And so, of course, mindfulness, meditation practice teaches us to first recognize what's going on. And in that moment, that little gap, mind the gap, the little moment of acknowledging what's going on, maybe even naming it if you can. Oh, this is anger. This is grief. This or even just asking the question, because sometimes it's like, I don't know even what I'm feeling, but it's something, it's going on. What is it? What am I feeling? I don't know. Sometimes just kind of when I listen internally, I just kind of hear an inner scream almost. It's like there's just a voice inside going, ah. And I'm like, what's really going on? What's really going on? So, in that little gap that mindfulness brings, is where we can change our relationship to what's going on. And in these kids, they could not throw the bat. They could recognize, oh, I really wanted to hit somebody. Another student in that program, their mother was responding at a parents' meeting where they were talking about the effect of this training. And this mom said that their child was usually quick to strike out when they're confused or frustrated. But mindfulness training was changing that pattern. One day after school, he told me, I'm taking a moment. Yes, there's hope. Isn't that great? Write that down. I'm taking a moment. And of course, sometimes we live with people that won't even let us take a moment. And they're like, right on you. No, you can't take a moment. And so maybe you need to actually physically remove yourself to take a moment to be safe. You need to If you can, I recognize not everybody is in a safe place of choice and freedom that they can even do that. But for those of us that do have that um, possibility in our lives, you can just say, I'm just taking a moment, and then take as many moments as you need, or leave the space to take your moment. Put on headphones. Yeah. Go into the bathroom, lock the door, run the water, have a bath, something. Yeah. So I just love hearing kids getting it like this. Is profound. The principal of that school even said that yeah, she was inspired to try meditation herself because she saw the results in the kids. Of course, kids teaching adults, right? And she was seeing how the kids were slowing down and thinking and not reacting, but responding to things. And the principal of this school said they have the answers within themselves. Ah, great. Can you, wow. In a school environment, where they're just telling kids the answers, teaching the answers, tell me the answer back. They're actually cultivating, recognizing they have the answer within themselves. Do we recognize that for ourselves, that we do know? If we could just cultivate this practice of take a break, take a pause, change your relationship to the sensations that are coming up, to the thoughts that are showing up, and then we can respond rather than react. Really inspiring study with youngins. Um, mm, mm. So we know, I think we know that resisting strong emotions, like our habitual ways of being are often to react, to just let something come spilling out, or actions or words, or we suppress emotions. Um, or do we express difficult emotions, like we react, we suppress, or we express, and maybe too soon, before it's clear on how to respond properly? Or do we completely ignore them, like completely just not even, I don't even know? And all the different ways we can employ to ignore by whatever, binge watching TV, or consuming things that suppress. Yeah. Um, I just want to add to that last comment, consuming things to suppress, that I am not judging self-medicating. That if you're living with conditions where that's a way to survive, then that's what you need to do. So yeah, it's not a simple sweeping statement. We have to take baby steps and gentle progressions. Um, hmm. One of the most helpful things I heard on the 3-month retreat from Guy Armstrong, such a great teacher, and hadn't made this connection, and it just really resonated for me. He said that difficult states of mind, or we could say difficult emotions, mind states, emotions, like I said, they're completely intertwined, are always related to a sense of time. That's so amazing. So he described, and some of you have heard this before, but this kind of a, an XY axis, a grid of a line up and down and a line across, horizontal and vertical, up and down. And so at the top of the horizontal line would be pleasure, and at the bottom is pain. And then side to side is past and future. So in each of these, there's 4 quadrants then: pleasure, pain, past, and future. And so if we think about what is something pleasant that we anticipate and think about, feel, is going to happen in the future. Something pleasant in the future. And what difficult emotions can that bring? It can bring desire, craving, yearning, wanting, and also then that's all tinged with because I don't have it now and I need it and I'm not good enough without it. And so we can really get into a state of clinging. It's something pleasant. So not all strong emotions and mind states are unpleasant, but maybe unskillful. Pleasant future can really bring a lot of clinging and desire, and also not paying attention to what's happening in the present moment. That's beautiful and wonderful, perhaps. Then if we think of something pleasant that's happened in the past, what painful emotion and mental states could that bring? Something pleasant, beautiful, a good, pleasant experience that happened in the past. And if we're really focusing on the past and it was that way, it can bring, it's grief. It's grief, sadness, loss. It was that way. It was so good and beautiful, and they were, and I was, and another type of clinging, grief, loss, sadness, despair. And then if we go to the lower 2 halves of this quadrant, these 4 aspects into painful experiences, painful emotional and mental states. And if we think of something painful that we anticipate may be happening in the future, and this may be happening for some of us right now around the second wave of COVID and more restrictions happening, that this is a painful thought and is anticipating into a future, and this brings worry and fear. Yeah. Painful then, in the last aspect, painful experiences that have happened in the past that we are ruminating over, going over something really bad, painful, hurtful that happened in the past. And if we're caught in that mind state, heart state, emotional state, we are often stuck in anger. That happened. And then in the present moment, we're caught in anger. And sometimes this one can be turned internally. Like often it's blaming someone else of something that happened, but it can also be turned inward on ourselves so that it shows up as self-judgment, resentment of others, like that. So that teaching from Guy Armstrong, really, I found that so helpful. When I remember, of course, that's difficulty, remembering to remember, then I can sometimes see, oh, if I can first notice what is going on, what is this emotion? Okay, that's because it's something that happened in the past that is pleasant or unpleasant, and I'm caught in it right now. Or it's something I'm anticipating is coming into the future, and it's causing desire or it's causing worry or fear, depending if it's pleasant or unpleasant. I hope that's making sense. It looks better on a visual, you know. You can really kind of see it filled out, but I hope it's making sense. So these difficult states of mind and heart are often, maybe always, just saying, check it out, related to time. And beautiful states of mind and heart are, can be, they are totally in the present. Do you see? Whenever you're experiencing, so even if you're thinking of a memory of something that happened that is bringing a beautiful state of heart and mind, a joyful, wholesome, skillful, pleasant, present moment state, it's because it's being felt right now. It's like when we're grieving and mourning the loss of someone, it feels so painful when we bring in past and future, like it was like that and it's never going to be again, past and future. But actually in the present moment, when I'm thinking of that person, I'm feeling the heart connection with them, even though they may be gone or dead or lost in my relationship to them. uh, in the present moment, it can feel like a beautiful connection of, oh, gratitude and love. And yeah. So an interesting thing to check out there about these difficult states and see if it helps you to kind of untangle a little bit, to see, okay, I'm really projecting into future or clinging into past, and I just in so then the relationship comes in the present moment. Oh, this state, this emotional difficult state is showing up in this present moment. And just like the kids, we can drop the bat. We can open our fist. And by just recognizing, oh, there's a lot of anger here, or there's a lot of grief here. And in that moment, our relationship to it has changed. And we can attend to it with compassion to ourselves and others, or wise action, change where you are, do something else, all those choices. Or wise speech, usually meaning in that case, don't say anything. Wait, pay attention, do your inner work, inner dialogue, and then wait for the right time and the right words and truthful words to speak. Okay. Okay. I don't want to say that. Oh, I love this. This is from Bhante Bunarakita. Apologies if I'm not saying your name correctly, Bhante. Bhante is a Dharma teacher from Uganda, and he tells a lot of great stories about his experience there. And I really, this is a great example. So he's talking about this pause and changing your relationship with a strong emotion. And in that pause, we can notice the difference between the object of the anger and the anger itself. It doesn't have to just be anger, but the object of our grief and the grief itself. So usually we project to someone else. They're the object of my joy or my anger or my grief, etc., 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 rather than just paying attention to the emotion, mind, body state itself. And so he describes it this way, which I love. He says, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're eating at a restaurant, and then you come out of the restaurant and see somebody has set fire to your car. First of all, where are you eating? And why is that happening? But carry on. As soon as you see the car start burning with your valuable things inside, the person who set fire to the car runs away. So what do? You've got really valuable possessions in the car. So what do? Do you remove your valuables from the car, or do you run after the arsonist, the person who set fire to your car? That's a great image. Do you see how that relates to the object or the actual emotion? So he says, of course, it makes sense for you to remove your valuables from the car first. Like the fire hasn't taken over so much that you're going to get burned getting your things out. You know, whatever the things are accessible in the back seat, and so you're going to go and gather whatever you can safely to get it out of the car first, and then you might go ahead and try to stop the fire. Then maybe you would go run after the arsonist, but by that time they're long gone. So you see how this is an example of how are we attending to difficult emotions? Are we running after the arsonist? We're like yelling back or blaming somebody or you know, wanting something or grieving something and pushing or pulling and placing it out there on some other situation or person, instead of putting out the fire in here, instead of taking care of our valuables, our heart and mind, our ethics, our wise speech, our wise action. So notice the next time you're aflame with this difficult emotion and see, okay, there's valuables here. The state of my heart and mind is precious and really important to take care of, because in taking care of that, I take care of others. Yeah, so great image. I really find that super helpful. So much. As if that's anything new. There was another story here that he gave, which is also great. This guy's really good at similes and stories. I should put his name here because I'm talking about him, and maybe you could look him up. Bhante Buddhara Kita. Bhante Buddharakita, wonderful teacher. So you can hear him tell these stories. There's a video of him, and in this turn, in this pause, there's another Another way of being, so if we have a tendency to react or to suppress, it's like, when you're driving in the winter and your car starts to skid. And if you overreact and really steer the other direction, that's when you're in a lot of trouble. Car's going this way and you oversteer in that way, and then you can cause an accident into another person, or likely into a ditch or tree or whatever. So the overreacting, oversteering is, they advise against that. And there's this phrase they use. I actually looked it up. It's like they talk about, he says here, Bhante, that to keep going into the skid, or sometimes they say to turn into the skid. And I was like, what? Are you sure? But that's quite not really a helpful description. A better description is to look and steer where you want to go. That is helpful. Rather than like reacting and over adjusting is very dangerous. What you want to do is look where you want to go and steer there. You see, rather than over here, over here. So with our strong emotions and mind states, look where you want to go and steer there. To look where you want to go is first acknowledging, oh, I'm in a spin. I'm spinning out. And then I want to move towards peace, calm, wisdom, kindness, compassion, skillful action, etc. Then you're doing, what the Buddha described of first know what's happening, and then so acknowledging what's arisen, and then also important to acknowledge its absence, or what the opposite is. And so this is what's steering where you want to go, is like, I'm feeling grief. I want to steer towards joy or love or compassion for this sorrow that's here. Yeah, and actually just starting to use these language and to name for yourself, what's my intention and how do I steer towards that? Nobody's steering the ship but you. We have to do this ourselves. Okay, maybe that's enough. The Buddha said it this way: this is the body, this is the mind state, and to the extent necessary for further mindfulness and developing knowledge. So instead of pushing them away, it's to acknowledge this is the mind state. And I love this phrase, to the extent necessary. Pascal gave a talk recently. It's on here on the TNI channel, Pascal Auclair. And in that he cites teaching he heard from Kamala Masters on her definition of mindfulness. And it's really fabulous. If you have a chance, check it. Look for Pascal's pretty recent talk. Sorry, I don't know the name of it. Or maybe you can find Kamala teaching about this. But it encapsulates this thing of to the extent necessary. It's really about right effort in a way. Apparently, Kamala said this well, the whole thing is a great definition. I won't go all the way into it, maybe another talk, but I don't want to take from Pascal's talk on that. But I'll just talk about this one part here. Sati, or mindfulness, is just enough energy. This is so good. Just enough energy to connect and sustain attention on an object, to know it clearly. So how much energy does it take? You know, maybe not as much as we think. We can kind of think like, oh, mindfulness, it's like, I can't be mindful. There's too much going on. Really? It doesn't take a lot, actually. Just enough energy to connect with, oh, this heart state is showing up, this mind state, it's like this. Even if you can't name it, just attend for a few, it doesn't take long. To connect and sustain on an object, to know it clearly. And in that moment of knowing, there's our choice of how to respond, what's needed, how can I see where I want to go and steer there. Okay, I should stop. Yeah, the good fortune cookie. So now we will practice with this formal practice, and I will guide and also leave some times for silence around getting a little more familiar, touching base here with difficult emotions. All right, so get comfortable. See if you can put down some distractions so that you can learn how to steer your vehicle and cultivate this wise and kind relationship. Because if the kids in elementary school can do it, we can do it. I think. Yes, we can. Sorry, I'm shuffling papers here, which is probably rude. I'm looking for something. Okay, there it is. So start to settle in. Sighing breath if you need to release anything that's stirred up from your day or from that talk. And putting down any distractions if you can, if it's helpful, if it's available right now. Turning your attention inward to take care of your valuables. Your car is on fire. You need to drop what you're doing and attend. Begin to just settle into your body, which is in this present moment axis the guy was teaching about, right here and right now. And begin to rest your attention just on the natural feeling of your breath, wherever it's easiest for you. Just a normal, natural breath, coming and going. Feeling the breath, resting with the body here and now. Rising and falling, in and out. Allow yourself to just be soothed by the simplicity of rising and passing breath, just being known. It's like a gift for you, each breath. And for this practice of taking care of our valuables and attending, we're going to intentionally invite some mildly difficult emotions or mind states. And if at any time in this meditation it feels overwhelming or you're really getting caught into the story of it, please drop it, open your eyes, look around, take a breath, feel the ground. It's not helpful and skillful to get caught in it. We just want to practice gently getting familiar with these states. So we can consciously bring to mind a difficult situation. It might be very recent, or it could be something from the distant past, or it could be a future, something that's being clung to or worried about, feared. Don't choose the worst thing that's ever happened to you or the worst thing you think is going to happen. You know, there's enough to choose from. Just choose something gentle. Go carefully. So take a moment here to really recall that situation. It's of course not going to feel comfortable, but it's just for a short time, and you're choosing to do this. You can choose to step out of it when you need to. You might be able to recognize, is this something from the past, or is it something that's imagined to be happening in the future, projected into future? Fully recall this situation and the emotions and some of the thoughts and mind states. And then see if you can feel below those layers what bodily sensations are accompanying this storyline. What are the strong sensations that are happening at the same time as these emotion and mind states. Is there a knot in your neck, a lump in your throat? Has your breath changed? Are you clenching your hands or your jaw, your belly? Maybe your attention is drawn to feel a particular part of the body with this practice, this recollection of a strong, intense emotion. A place where the sensations are the strongest. And remember, if it feels overwhelming, please open your eyes. Just look around, take a break. And so now we want to practice, if you can feel a particular part of your body that's activated, to internally kind of saying, it's okay, I can feel this, without getting caught in the story right now, without pushing it away. I can just feel that sensation, not the story. Oh, it's like this, it feels like this. And what happens to that sensation when you just feel it without adding to it? You might notice there's a lot of different feelings layered together. There might be layers of judgment or shame about these emotions. And remember, the emotions are different than the object, even if the object is you. It's just a sensation and mind state that's arising, not to be controlled, just to be known. Oh, it feels like this. If you find yourself caught in a story about or a judgment, I'll always feel this way, and if I were better, fill in the blank person, it wouldn't be this way. If you're getting hooked into these type of thoughts, just come back to your body, your breath, opening your eyes. And when you do that, when you take that break, you might notice, that emotion is a temporary state. It's not who I am. Keep attuning to the sensations with these emotions, not getting so caught in the storyline. And now taking a deeper breath and letting go of that reflection, that practice of paying attention to a difficult emotional state. You can just sigh or see if you can let go of the tension. And then gently come back to the breath again. Simple breath. Easy, normal, natural breath. Breath now coming and going. Arising and passing. Inhaling and exhaling, just being known, simple. Here and now, present moment. Gently, eyes if they're closed, and take a moment to look around your space and orient to where you are. It may have been triggering to intentionally bring up painful emotions. So just look around your space, see where you are, feel the ground, releasing the breath. Yeah. Any questions or comments about that practice, or questions about being skillful with strong or difficult emotions? So just as some folks may be typing a comment, it kind of takes a moment to come through the ether. Just a reminder that we're hoping to transition to Zoom next week. So I'll post the link on Facebook, and I'll try to get it on my website, although I'm not as good at doing that. It's a little more laborious. But or go on to the True North Insight website, and the link will be on that page, and we'll get it up before Wednesday so that you can sign up to receive the email. So try to check in sooner so that you can get the email with the link. So the transition is going to be a little bumpy. Might be just me the first time, and then afterwards I'll upload them to YouTube, so you could still just watch them on here if you prefer, no problem. And oh, I'm so glad that it was helpful. I'm so glad. And thank you for your support, your Donna, to okay. Any other? I never know Ayurveda Besha, if your name is Besha or Ayurveda Besha. It sounds kind of like a handle, and maybe Besha is your name. You could let me know just so I know how to address you when I see you show up here. So yeah, I'm really also open to other topics anytime, or questions or challenges. Feel free to share those, and I will do my best to see if there's some teachings to share and practice to share around that. Yeah, so remember to take care of your valuables that are in the burning car before you run after the arsonist, and to look where you want to steer. Great stories. Thank you, Bhante, for sharing those beautiful similes. Really helpful. And I think that's it. So have a lovely evening, and see you in October, which is tomorrow. What? You're welcome, Terry. And okay, good night. Be well.